It is my absolute pleasure to stand here today and share with you some of my story. Firstly, though, I would like to offer some congratulations as well as some gratitude. To our graduands, congratulations on completing this significant achievement. Your hard work has paid off to bring you here today for this recognition and celebration. I recall the pride and sense of accomplishment I felt when, some 20 years ago, I stood where you are and received my certificate, surrounded by my family and friends. You deserve every second of today, and I encourage you to savour and embrace it fully. I would also like to acknowledge and thank everyone who has supported you in some way, big or small, to get you to this point. Like it takes a village to raise a child, it also takes significant investment and sometimes sacrifice by our families and loved ones to support us through this journey. I thank you with love. Thank you to Torrens University for inviting me to speak today and for the hard work and planning that goes into creating an event like this. I'm sure it is equally as rewarding to see your hard work and investment pay off in both your graduands as well as today's ceremony. I've had an association with Torrens University for a number of years through our Victorian leaders community, which we value and appreciate greatly. In the time I have with you today, I'd like to share with you some of my experiences and the life lessons they have each given me. You may recognise some of these lessons and how they align to the values of Torrens University. I left school when I was 15 at the end of year 10. My experience with school was less than positive, and quite frankly, I couldn't wait to leave. I found high school to be very challenging and difficult to focus. My math teacher advising me that I couldn't add up two numbers to save myself, and my mother would tell me I couldn't speak or spell the Queen's English. Quality feedback that informed my thinking that education and I certainly weren't a match made in heaven. So I left school, starting an apprenticeship, which I enjoyed very much because it was the use of my hands and the very practical nature of the job that I found enjoyable and engaging. It was through my apprenticeship that I was exposed to a different kind of education, a very practical one. My experience within the TAFE system changed completely the way I viewed education. This was my kind of learning, sensible, practical, and relevant to the work I was doing. And it was through this experience that I could see the difference and benefits of higher education. I then went on to complete 2 diplomas, a Bachelor of Business, 2 Certificate 4s, and graduated from Harvard University in 2016, all while working full-time and raising a family. So through my unorthodox journey of education came my first life lesson that there is always more than one way of doing something. My way isn't necessarily the same as your way, and that's okay. Always be creative and bold in your way, and just as importantly, encourage others to do the same. Throughout my career, leadership behaviour has been a constant fascination for me. I've stood witness to the good, the bad, and the ugly of leadership. I've had a book thrown at me and called a spastic for asking a question because I didn't understand what my leader was telling me. I've seen colleagues sworn at by their leader because they weren't meeting their work targets, and I've seen people yelled at and reduced to tears in front of others, their peers and team members. And then I've seen a leader treat his team with respect, trust and compassion. He was vulnerable with them by sharing his mistakes and what he learned. He got to know each team member by spending time with them and being present. He went in to bat for his team when they needed him to, and he put the needs of his people before his own. This leader had a profound impact on myself and his team, and even after he passed away, the team remains connected with each other many years later. My second life lesson is that when you begin and end with people, you create a connection and cohesiveness that binds people together for a bigger cause, which in turn leads to greater achievement. In life, our first real experience with leadership is through our parents. These are the people who stand up for us, support us, set boundaries and expectations for us, challenge us and try valiantly to keep us in line and alive. In my case, this was my mother. She was a professional businesswoman who led successful teams and organisations while trying to navigate 3 kids through life to adulthood. She believed there was great hope in the youth of today, and through her work as an accountant would often tell me about how she enjoyed meeting the new grads each year when they came to work for her. Her leadership style was one of acceptance, collaboration and empowerment, and she respected the skills and experience each of her employees brought with them. This flowed through to every part of her life, and I recall the day before she passed away when I said I was worried about her. She said to me that at some point in your life you need to accept the things you can't control and trust that there are other people far better equipped at things than you are. My third life lesson is that leadership is ultimately bigger than you, me, or any other person. We need to trust others to do their job, and by being global, we gain perspective and, importantly, let go of control. As humans, we all have our unique journey based on the experiences of our upbringing. My father passed away when I was 7, and my mother married again twice. The first to a man who drank and assaulted her, the second to a man whose narcissism, self-absorption and inconsiderate behaviour towards others hurt her deeply. If our parents are our first leaders in life, it seems some of my role models were less than ideal. And the words, actions and behaviours of my stepfathers showed a lack of substance, character and moral fibre that all children should be entitled to see from their parents or guardians. This should also be what our employees are entitled to from leaders. Yet sadly, poor behaviour remains present in workplaces. We must continue to show courage and strength when faced with these situations, and my fourth life lesson is that the only true thing we can ever control is our own words, actions and behaviours, and that as leaders and indeed humans, we must strive to do good and indeed be good. And finally, with 2 parents who passed away at very young ages, it has highlighted to me the need to be conscious of my health. My health is a thing that gets me out of bed in the morning to walk in the dark, cold and wet Melbourne weather. It's that thing that enables me to manage a busy workload and get through a long day. That thing that means I can continue to learn and develop in ways that challenge and stretch my thinking. And my health is definitely that thing that helps me to stay sane and patient with 2 teenagers who struggle to get out of bed in the morning and communicate with either silence and a series of grunts. So my final life lesson is never take your health for granted and always strive to be well. So as you go out into the world today, or even just back to your day job, I encourage and ask you to become the leader you would want to work for, and like the Torrens vision, continue to connect the world for good. Thank you, and I wish you all the very best in life.